Hello everybody. The year 2025 opened a new chapter never before imagined in the long history of China. A country with a magnificent ancient civilization, advanced technology, and high discipline suddenly captured the world's attention, not because of the latest AI innovation or a space expedition, but because of one extraordinary step. President Xi Jinping declared full support for religious freedom, especially for Islam. The skies over Beijing were clear as the state speech was broadcast live. Millions of eyes watched with anticipation, and millions of ears listened to every word spoken by the supreme leader. His words sounded firm yet full of calm. Islam is part of the colorful fabric of our nation. It is time for China to open its doors wide for peace and diversity. Every citizen, without exception, has the right to embrace and practice their faith peacefully. Immediately, the statement sparked both emotion and hope. Reactions flooded in from major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, and even from minority areas like Xinjiang and Ningxia. The mosques that had once been quiet began to buzz with activity, and many were renovated and expanded. The call to prayer echoed once again, not in secrecy, but with pride. Not only that, the government took direct action, issuing new laws to protect the rights of Muslims, facilitating the construction of Islamic cultural centers, and providing space for peaceful, open religious education that was far from extremism. International media were stunned. A country that had long been known for its strict control over religion was now showing a new face, friendly, tolerant, and even proactive in embracing the beliefs of its people. Of course, many were skeptical at first. Many wondered, is this just political image-making? But the days that followed answered those doubts. Both the central and local governments acted swiftly and consistently. Xi Jinping even attended the opening of the largest Islamic study center in East Asia and watched an Islamic cultural ceremony alongside religious leaders. This new atmosphere was not only felt at the government level but also trickled down to the grassroots. Chinese citizens who had previously been unfamiliar with or even suspicious of Islam began to open up and take an interest. A cultural shift was happening, and it all started with one brave decision. It's not an exaggeration to call this moment the spiritual renaissance of the bamboo curtain. And this is just the beginning. After Xi Jinping's surprising statement, something unprecedented began to stir from the corners of cities to the remote villages of China, a massive wave of people voluntarily and wholeheartedly embracing Islam. This phenomenon spread rapidly and widely, so much so that the media called it the Great Awakening, a spiritual revival that touched the hearts of millions of souls. Mosques were not just reopening, but now they were filled with new faces, most of them young people. They came not out of coercion, but as part of a long search that finally found its answer. One viral story came from a technology student at Tsinghua University, named Li Wei. At first, he joined an interfaith discussion group on campus as part of his course assignment. But from there, he became interested in reading the Quran, learning about the life of Prophet Muhammad SAW, and watching lectures by moderate scholars. A few months later, he recited the Shahada in front of his campus friends, with uncontrollable tears of joy. I feel like I've come home after being lost for so long. Islam gave me direction and peace that I've never felt before, Li Wei said in his viral interview on a local video platform. Li Wei's story wasn't the only one. Hundreds to thousands of similar stories emerged every day, from successful entrepreneurs in Shanghai to elderly farmers in the Tibetan highlands. Some found Islam through the internet, interactions with Muslim neighbors, or even through dreams. Local Muslim organizations were quick to welcome them. Centers were established to guide new converts in a friendly, modern, and grounded manner. Here, the new converts not only learned the basics of worship but were also provided psychological and social support to help them feel at home in their new community. The atmosphere in the mosques also changed dramatically. Once silent, they were now buzzing with activity. Study sessions, communal iftar, Arabic language courses, and even sports communities based on Dora began to appear everywhere. The younger Muslim generation displayed confidence, dressing modestly yet stylishly, blending their faith identity with pride in being Chinese. What's even more fascinating is that this trend of conversion was not limited to the general public. Several well-known figures, celebrities, influencers, and even former officials, publicly declared their conversion to Islam. Social media exploded with hashtags such as #HidayahChina, #PeaceInIslam, and #HydradInEjurubambu, marking a spiritual movement that was truly changing the face of society. But perhaps the most heartwarming aspect was how these new Muslims maintained their local values. They didn't abandon their Chinese identity but rather enhanced it with a new identity, Muslims who are respectful, peaceful, and passionate about love and harmony. From the mountains of Yunnan to the bustling streets of Beijing, the light of Islam began to shine on the days of Chinese citizens. No longer seen as a foreign religion, it became part of the moral and spiritual revival of the nation. And this journey has only just begun. It didn't take long after the massive wave of converts shook the nation for China's atmosphere to slowly begin to change. Amidst the hustle of megapolises and cutting-edge technology, a new vibration emerged, the vibration of tranquility and tolerance. Islam, once considered foreign by most of society, had now become a familiar part of daily conversation, social life, and even pop culture. In the city of Hangzhou, the old mosque that used to be quiet had become a meeting place for interfaith dialogue. The mosque's imam engaged in warm conversations with Buddhist monks, Christian pastors, and local religious leaders. They sat together, planning social agendas, cleaning up the environment, helping orphans, and even organizing joint cultural festivals. There was no more suspicion. What existed instead was collaboration. A local resident smiled sincerely and said, "We used to fear differences. Now we're learning that difference is a gift." The younger generation became the driving force behind this change. On social media, interfaith collaboration became a positive trend. Educational content about Islam, Buddhism, and traditional Confucian teachings was created in short video formats, liked by millions of viewers. Muslim and non-Muslim influencers invited each other onto podcasts to discuss life, love, and the search for meaning. Meanwhile, the government continued to wisely support this process. The Ministry of Religious Affairs introduced interfaith curricula in schools so that children could learn respect for each other from an early age. Major Islamic holidays such as Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha were now celebrated nationally, with greetings from officials and public figures. In the economic sector, Muslim entrepreneurs began to thrive. Halal products from China were entering global markets, fully supported by the government. Halal restaurants flourished, not only for Muslims but also for people interested in a healthy and clean lifestyle. Halal became the new way of life, halal life, happy life, one of the slogans that went viral on social media. Yet, the most beautiful part of all of this was the change in perspective. Islam was no longer seen as a foreign religion, but as one of the authentic colors in the vast cultural painting of China. Muslims were no longer a marginalized minority, but an important part of a social mosaic that was now more beautiful, stronger, and more humane. Now, as the night sky over Beijing is adorned with city lights and stars shyly in the distance, the soft call to prayer from mosques, once nearly forgotten, fills the air. In the homes of citizens, newly Muslim families are enjoying dinner with gratitude. In parks, children play while reciting the names of the prophets, making friends with children of other faiths. And through it all, China has found something that cannot be built with concrete or technology: spiritual balance. Islam did not come to conquer, but to touch hearts. Not to divide, but to unite in love and light. The bamboo curtain has opened. And the wind of peace now blows from the east.